Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Sox on Tap.
Tony, my first reaction is just, fuck yes, let's go.
Sox versus the Twins. That's where it all starts. It all starts taking care of business in-house in the Central Division.
That's right, I'm a meatball.
You got to bring that top button swag, baby.
It is always great to beat the Cubs.
And I'm a homer, so I always say they're gonna.
Dallas Keuchel Lancelin got some beards that you should be afraid of.
What everybody said when he gets out there, it's me versus the other guy, and I'm going to beat him. So I just love that mentality. It's cool and fucking tough.
Steve, would you say that Tony is mad online?
I would definitely say that.
The White Sox winner. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Sox on Tap. I am your boy Buzz. I'm joined by my dude NWI Steve. We got the click on the post game here today. I'm still wearing my sunglasses. Douche. Everybody be sure to go on TapSportsNet.com for all your Chicago sports literature and podcasting needs. Following us on Twitter at Sox on Tap and on Tap Sportsnet. Anywhere you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to us, 5-star rating and review, because that's cool and tough. Also, check out Grandstand. You can go there, get all your White Sox gear, Chicago sports gear in general. Go check out Grandstand. Go to grandstandsox.com or follow them on their socials at Grandstand Sox. Steve and I are here to recap a 7-0 loss against the New York Yankees. Not cool and tough. The misery beers will be flowing. But before we do that, Steve, how you doing, my man?
Hey, yo. Not great, Bob. Not great at all.
That's the last thing I want to hear because we haven't been on the mic together in a minute. And it's like, damn, dude, like I was all excited as me and Steve today. Cease is on the mound. He's been looking pretty sharp. He's had real good stuff lately, whether it's fastball, breaking ball. It's been working for him. And here we are talking about a 7-0 loss, my friends. So before we get into the breakdown of the game, we'll do a little misery beer here, crack them, and we'll get into this one. Steve, this series has a lot of eyes on it, and it's something that we've texted about, in our personal chats on our phones and whatnot. And it just sucks to come out in 18 innings of baseball and score one run. And it's hard to see, especially when you're touted as the best team in the American League. Almost all of baseball, really, with run differential and the record and all of that. And it's just the guys aren't coming through. Now, we could sit here and harp on like a tweet that I had last night. I really do miss Eloy and Luis in these type of situations, more dominant or prolific at bats. But we don't have them. So we're not going to, go deep into that. But you get an absolute gem from Carlos Rodon last night that you broke down with Johnny. And then the first couple innings today with Dylan Cease is very good. And here we are. No runs, even though he did end up getting kind of lit up. But no runs. I mean, what's your initial thoughts on this, brother?
Well, over the course of a long 162-game season, you're going to go through 7 to 10-day stretches where the offense just isn't clicking. And the fact of the matter is, outside of that 16-run performance in Minnesota on Monday here, for the last 10 days or so, the bats have cooled down considerably here. And that is just, I think, a byproduct of a pretty long season here. Obviously you had Jose Abreu out of the lineup for 3 days, so that doesn't help things. And when you go up against the guy that I believe is the second best pitcher in the sport, that doesn't necessarily help things. Now, they did put together some quality at bats against Garrett Cole through the first 2-3 innings of this game.
They did, yeah.
But he was able to go and he was able to get 4 key double play balls to get himself out of jams when he needed to. And that was really, I think, an unfortunate aspect of this game. And as you mentioned, Buzz, Dylan Cease did look pretty solid that first time through the Yankee order. And Stone had even commented on this in the 4th inning. He just lost the release point on his breaking ball because he was really featuring that pretty heavily here, in the early part of this game. And once he lost, that release point on it, things just kind of snowballed on him a little bit. Kind of felt like he was getting squeezed a little bit on some calls that were out of the zone. Let's be clear about that. The at-bats to Torres and to some of the other guys, the pitches were out of the zone, and to Urshela. Now, there was definitely some inconsistency from the home plate umpire there with the outer third of the strike zone here to right-handed hitters. But the fact of the matter is he didn't adjust. He lost that release point on it, and then the Yankees were able to capitalize on it and get the big hit when they were presented with the opportunities. And the Sox hitters just simply weren't able to do that today against Garrett Cole on a day when Cole, again, didn't have his great stuff. And they had some opportunities early on there, and they just couldn't capitalize.
I mean, the early walks from Cole were pretty uncharacteristic. Would you say that?
Absolutely. And I was talking about this with Johnny last night. Going into or during his last start against the Texas Rangers there, he had issued 2 walks in that start. And before that first walk, he had set a major league record going back to 1893. He had struck out 61 hitters since issuing his last walk. So to see him go out there today and issue 3 walks relatively early on in this game and see the Sox not be able to take advantage of that was pretty disheartening there. Again, double plays just coming into play at inopportune moments, and it bailed Garrett Cole out of a number of jams early on here that the Sox could have added on or at least gotten on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and it's just hard, man. Like, it's hard to see that going into such a important series for the White Sox. I mean, in general, because I know that St. Louis ain't all that in a bag of chips, but they're playing well, and you're going to be going into that series too. So you would really like them to see them at least get 2 out of this series moving into the St. Louis one. And it's just obviously we've dropped 2. We're going into the 3rd game tomorrow, and the bats is something that we have talked about when me and you have been together on the show. I'm sure you've talked about it with Tony and Johnny. It's something that does concern me, is because if the pitching isn't on, and I'm not saying Dylan Cease wasn't on, because in the first 3 innings, Dylan Cease was on. Everything was working. But if something goes wrong, you have to be able to pick them up. And that's where we've seen the White Sox struggle. And that even goes back to last night's absolute gem from Carlos Rodon. It's something that's worrisome. And, getting into the bullpen a little bit, Matt Foster comes out. He pitches 1 inning, 30 pitches. I mean, it was 28, but he lets up 3 hits, earned run. He walks 1, he strikes out 1, he lets up a long ball. It's just not what I wanted to see, and I would love to go down the scoring breakdown, but it sucks because it's all against the Sox. like the Sox don't get anything because the offense has been inconsistent. And I guess it's a really good point you brought up, because ever since that 16-run game, it's not like we've been blowing anybody away. The run differential has a big part to do with, mostly due to the pitching. Honestly, at the end of the day, I mean, do you see anything different? I mean, if they're not going to put the bat on the ball and put it in play, or, you get guys on base and you keep hitting into last night's triple play, I don't really want to talk about it, or, the double plays that took place today, you're not going to win ball games. Doesn't matter if your starting pitcher's throwing a gem, because eventually that other team is going to get a run. That's how you need to operate. You need to know that. You need to pick it up, and you need to start getting runs across the plate. You're going to lose. You need to score to win.
Part of the issue here, this is something that Stone harped on a little bit during the course of the game here, him and Benetti, is the fact that the Sox have the highest ground ball percentage of any team in Major League Baseball. Yeah. That is something that is not conducive necessarily to scoring a ton of runs. Now, the piece I wrote yesterday for On Tap Sports, talked about the fact that, this team, despite not hitting home runs, is, top 5 in the league in terms of walk percentage, top 10 in the league in terms of number of doubles and number of triples that they hit. They're just simply not hitting the ball out of the ballpark. But, part of this issue, again, is just they hit the ball on the ground a lot. And when that happens, these kinds of things are going to happen. You're going to have situations where you're hitting into double and into that freak triple play there. That's right. Going to take you out of innings and prevent you from scoring runs at all, or adding on and tacking on runs in pivotal situations here. So, for whatever the reason right now, this team is getting very ground ball happy here. Yeah. So, maybe Frank Menachito needs to take a look at some of the data, look at some of the information, him and the rest of the coaching staff get with the guys before the game here tomorrow, and maybe make some adjustments here to what they're doing from a swing path perspective. And I think obviously the Yankees probably have had a pretty good scouting report coming into this series here, because we saw with Jordan Montgomery yesterday throwing a lot of breaking balls. Garrett Cole again today was utilizing the breaking ball down in the zone here, especially when he was up in the count. So that seems to kind of be the book that they had on the Sox hitters here today. And even though Cole didn't have a lot of strikeouts, was getting a ton of ground balls.
Right. And something that kind of surprised me a little bit, Steve, is I feel like with being in Yankee Stadium, I felt like it could be the ignition, turning the key in the ignition to start launching some balls out of the ballpark, gaining that confidence. Because, I mean, look at right field, man. What is that, 313, 315 over there or some shit?
That's what it says it is.
Yeah, I mean, and I would think that you'd have like Abreu or even Grandal or some of these guys. Tim, shit. I mean, let's be honest. Tim can hit the ball anywhere. Hitting balls out of the ballpark, and it's just not happening. And it's frustrating to see to a certain extent because, like, as I watch a lot of these Sox games, I look at the opposing pitcher's pitch count a lot, Steve, and just try to notice it. And I see that Garrett Cole had, like, what was it, 32 pitches through 3, 36 pitches through 3 or something like that. And we're not working. I mean, obviously, Garrett Cole's a bad motherfucker. We both know this. Like you said, he is the second best pitcher in baseball in your mind. I'm going to assume that your first is DeGrom. That's what I'm going to assume. Obviously, we did not talk about that. It was not pre-planned. I just know Steve so well because he's my spirit animal. But, I just getting the lift under balls, working the count, trying to get him to throw something bad, not a good pitch, something like that. And trying to lift it out there, if you can, is something that I really wanted this team to do over the first 2 games, and they're just not doing it. Like you said, they lead the league in ground ball rate. I mean, it is what it is. And I don't know how to get around it. If it's a Menachito adjustment and him working with his batters, then that's what needs to be done. It's just, all I know as a fan watching from the outside looking in is our starting pitching can be as fire as you want it to be. But if you're not going to score and you're not going to capitalize on situations like 3 walks from Garrett Cole today is something that I think I would like to capitalize on a little bit. Maybe you get in his head. Maybe you start a little bit of a rally. Maybe you rattle his cage a little bit. And it didn't happen. And then he gains that confidence back because he knows he's going to get one of you to ground into a double play or what. I mean, shit, again, a triple play, whatever. And, and go from there. It's just, Tim Anderson went, 0 for 17, which is very uncharacteristic. And a lot of people could harp on him. And for the people that are harping on him, chill the fuck out. Guy's still batting .299. All right. So let's pump the brakes on that. Abreu coming back from an ankle injury, but he has 2 hits today. He looks all right. Moncada's been hitting the fucking cover off the ball. It's just not working out the way that we want it to work out. I don't know the adjustments that need to be made. You have a lot better insight than I do on that and how to fix that issue. It's just, when you come up to such a prolific matchup, you want to perform. And being shut out and scoring 1 run in 2 games is not good. And, the Sox are now 8 games over 500 compared to the 10 they started the series with.
Yeah, it's obviously frustrating, and like Johnny and I had talked about last night, now we're going to have to hear all the bullshit narratives about, the Sox aren't really that good. They're just beating up on cupcake teams in the American League Central. They can't handle hanging with the big boys. There's going to be plenty of that coming internally from corners of the fan base, and then the New York national media is just going to take this and run with it. So it definitely is, a very frustrating thing. And, I want to circle back to something that you talked about there with the pitch count on Garrett Cole. It was a little misleading in the sense that they were working him in certain instances, but that, he would issue that walk or he would give up that base hit after a 4 or 5, 6 pitch at bat. And then he'd get a 1 pitch at bat double play ball. And that would kind of skew the numbers there a little bit. So it was, I think, to an extent, a little bit misleading. But again, he's a guy that he was able to make some quality pitches when he needed to, and the defense behind him made the plays, was able to turn those key double plays in pivotal spots when they needed. And here we are. Sox got nothing to show for it today. So it's one of those days. A lot of things kind of went wrong after that 3rd inning there. You just got to kind of chalk it up, and you got to try to get one tomorrow.
How do they get it tomorrow? And that's the thing. Before we get into the breakdown that we usually do for tomorrow, how do you get it? I mean, can you make an adjustment on the fly like that? I have no doubt in my mind with the way that, Keuchel has looked over his last couple starts that he can give you some competitive pitching. And I know it's not going to be, I love when you always say it's got to be more than 15 outs. And that's something that I felt like I've even learned this year. I know that generally just from watching baseball and following it and thinking that I know the sport to a certain extent. But I feel that how long can you depend on these guys to keep doing what they're doing and not provide offensively? And how do you make a change in that? Because, Steve, what is it, 30 games in 30 days right now? Because today was 31 of 31, so it's 30 and 30. How do you make a change on the fly when you are in such a stretch, in a rough stretch at that, of baseball? Like, how do you make it work?
Well, sometimes you can't, and I know that's kind of a little bit of a cop-out answer, but that's
not a cop-out.
As the great Hawk Harrelson used to say, it's not always who you play, but sometimes it's when you play them. Right now, the Yankees are getting a little healthy, and they're playing some pretty good baseball right now. They've won 4 games in a row here, and they're starting to show a semblance of the team that a lot of people thought that they were going to be heading into the season. The Yankees historically, for close to 100 years now, have been very tough to beat in New York. So, coming into this series, it's going to be a tremendous challenge, and you're going to have your work cut out for you, especially when you have Garrett Cole sandwiched in that second game of the 3-game set. That's why the game last night was so important from a series standpoint here. And you weren't able to do the little things in order to get that win on Friday night. Now, as far as what they got to do tomorrow, I mean, it's pretty simple. They got to score more runs than the New York Yankees. But, I mean, but if I'm being completely honest, I'm not crazy about the matchup tomorrow. The idea of Dallas and kind of some of the things that we've seen from him this year, his command, getting away from him at times for an inning during some starts, and to do that against a Yankee lineup that is very right-hand hitting dominant, and Keuchel's not a guy that misses a lot of bats. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not.
So you beat me to that, because
I'm not crazy about this tomorrow.
I know we've talked a lot on this show about the Sox against left-handed bats, but if you haven't done your homework, check out the Yankees. They do some real shit over there, and I'm a little nervous, but again, I feel like Dallas might have a swagger. He can be a team lead to a certain extent. I mean, you saw what he did last year. He spoke up, and I think he could be that guy. It's just this team is very, very potent against left-handed pitchers.
They absolutely are. And look, Keuchel has, in several key circumstances, in big playoff moments, gone into Yankee Stadium and held that team down for, back when he was pitching for the Houston Astros. He did that in 2015 in the wild card game, shut them down. That was the year he won the Cy Young. He did that again in 2017 during the year when the Astros won the World Series there. So he's done it before in Yankee Stadium. He certainly can do it again. And I think maybe the one thing that could be working in the Sox favor is that you got Jameson Taillon going on the mound for the Yankees. He's really gotten off to a slow start this season for the Yankees, coming over from the Pittsburgh Pirates. So maybe that's what this offense is going to need to kind of get jump-started again here and get back on track.
I kind of thought they were going to do it against Montgomery. And, I mean, he looked fucking fantastic. I put a tweet out there on twatter.com. I know you're not familiar with Twatter. But I put a tweet out there about how I can't take anything away from this guy. He pitched an absolute gem. I'm hoping we get it tomorrow. It's just like I said, I don't have that confidence right now that Jameson's going to fuck up. And because our bats are just not performing to the level that they should. And before, again, I know we just kind of did the pitcher breakdown for tomorrow and everything like that. I'll get into the stats and everything like that in a minute. But I want you to speak on Cease a little bit because, like I said, I thought his first 3 innings were, I mean, Steve, I was, in my mind, right? I'm like, oh my God, he's pitching so fucking good right now. We might be seeing something here. Like I'll never say it out loud. I don't care what they said on the broadcast. It's just how I'm built. I believe in the juju and all that noise, but everything seemed to be working. They couldn't figure him out. Some adjustments were made, and maybe that can go hand in hand to what you said about Menachino getting his batters ready for tomorrow, but they got to him. And he got rattled. And when Dylan Cease gets rattled, it's not good for the White Sox, because not saying he's not mentally strong. So please, anybody listening to this, don't attack me for that. I'm not saying that. But when he gets rattled, he loses location, he loses command, and he loses confidence. And those 3 things being lost spelled doom immediately. And that's what happened to him tonight. Or this afternoon, I apologize. That's what happened to him in the bottom of the 4th.
You're not wrong. And I, too, was watching those first 3 innings, and the stuff was very crisp. The slider was very sharp, and the swings and misses.
Amazing.
The swings and the misses that he was getting. One of the things that I usually will look at as I'm watching games, I'll watch the reactions, I'll watch the swings of the hitters, because that can really tell you a lot about what kind of stuff a pitcher has on a particular day. And through those first 3 innings, the stuff was electric. And like I said, for whatever the reason, in that 4th inning, he just lost the release point, and then it just kind of snowballed from him. And as you talked about, he has been prone to this in the early stages of his career, where if he loses that release point, things can kind of go, and they can go like that. He's not the first pitcher in the history of baseball to have this happen.
Yeah.
Everybody knows I'm as big of a Chris Sale advocate as there was during his time when he was with the White Sox. This used to happen to him all the time. He would give up a home run, or there would be a bad defensive miscue behind him, and then all of a sudden he would try to throw everything 110 miles an hour. He would lose that command, and then all of a sudden the inning would snowball on him. So that does definitely happen to Dylan Cease in a number of circumstances, and that happened here today in the 4th inning again, unfortunately.
And it's not easy to follow a performance by Carlos Rodon last night, but I felt like he was. I swear to God. Like, and I try not to do that. You know what I mean? I really try to stay level-headed with the Sox. Like, I get overboard about the Bulls, and who knows why? What a moron, right? Like, I'm an idiot. I hate the Bears. I love them, but I hate them. But today I had this, like, level-headedness about me. I'm like, oh, my God. After that bottom of the 2nd, Steve, where he struck out the side, and it was convincing too. Like, I was like, oh my God, like he's got his shit working. And then just to see him get rattled and lose it's hard to watch, it's hard to watch. I mean, even the bottom of the 3rd, he didn't strike anybody out, but he was just the bats weren't connecting the way that you'd think they would be. Bottom of the 4th is when it all turns around. Judge singles, get a walk after that. Torres doubles to deep center. It scores Urshela and Judge. I mean, and it was just kind of a snowball effect. Now, though we are being, I wouldn't say we're being critical. I think you'll back me up on that. We're just talking about the game. But they need to win tomorrow. You cannot afford a sweep here. You just can't. I mean, Cleveland's not too far off, my friend. They're not too far off. You need to keep the distance. Whether people are afraid of Cleveland or not is not the point here, because if Minnesota somehow figures it out, whatever. Cleveland's sitting 2 games back after today's loss. They need to come away with the win because they do have a tough matchup in the next series. And you really need Dallas Keuchel to step up tomorrow and do what you said, how he's performed against the Yankees in the past. He needs to be that guy that brings it back down to earth, and his batters, because is this fair of me? I don't think Dallas really gets rattled too often. He's just not a big swing and miss guy. He's not a guy that's going to get you out on strikes. I never feel like he gets super rattled. I could be off. And let me know. I mean, it's fun just to have an opinion on something,
No, he definitely is one of those guys that is able to maintain his composure out there and is really very stoic. You rarely see his facial expression change out there on the mound. Not a lot of guys can pitch like that. There are a lot of guys that do have to go out there and have to show emotion. I mean, I was one of those guys that, if things were happening behind me, I would kind of let it be known out there how I was feeling. And just not everybody can be stoic all the time. And, Dylan Cease is kind of the same way. We see kind of the, contrast there with Lucas Giolito and Lance Lynn and it's just, everybody's kind of wired a little bit differently. So, Dallas is definitely a guy that he's going to go out there. He's going to be composed regardless of what's happening behind him out there. He's just got to go out there and he's got to have that cutter work, and he's got to stay ahead in counts. He can't afford to fall behind these right-handed hitters and give them the opportunity to just sit on pitches on the inner third of the strike zone and try to do damage there.
No, you're absolutely right. And coming out tomorrow against a guy that isn't obviously, again, I could say I try not to sound stupid about it, but I mean, Montgomery, I wasn't too scared of either. And I said that before we did the fucking series, and look at me, what a jag-off, but he doesn't scare me, and I know he's a right-handed pitcher and everything like that, but he's got an ERA that's above 5. He has not pitched. I mean, look at his last few starts, my man. He goes 4 1/3 against Texas on Tuesday, May 18th, right? 6 hits, 4 earned runs. The game before that, he goes 4 2/3 against Tampa Bay. 6 hits, 4 runs, 4 of them earned. I mean, this guy lets up runs. this is what he does. So if there's anybody to get back on track against, it's him. And that's my mindset with it. I don't know how you feel. Like, do you think the Sox can get back on track tomorrow? I mean, they got to start hitting the ball.
Yeah, look, they definitely can get back on track against Jameson Taillon. One thing that he has had some issues with this year is he has been giving up the long ball. He's given up, over 2 per 9 innings at this point. I mean, he's got, a home run fly ball rate that is near the top of the league. He doesn't get a ton of ground balls. So this would be the type of guy that, if the Sox can work some quality at bats, put themselves into some hitters' counts, they can do some damage here, hopefully. They just got to go out there. They got to have a good plan of attack as far as what they're trying to do against him. He doesn't walk a lot of guys, so he's going to be in the strike zone for the most part here. They just got to, get themselves in a good position to do damage in hitters' counts ultimately.
Yeah, and that's what I'm really looking to see tomorrow. Like I said, I'm not losing too much hope here. Obviously, I don't want to be like that, but I kind of go up and down. I try to stay level-headed, but I'm trying to be level with the team. They're still in first place. They're still there by 2 games. I know there's talent on this team, even though Eloy and Luis are gone, which I'm not using that as an excuse. I just sometimes wonder, man. I just, I think it's fair. I think it's always fair to wonder. Not saying that they're the be-all, end-all, but when you have a lineup consisting of those guys and what we have now, instead of seeing like a Lurie, and I love Lurie, and you know that. I'm a big Lurie guy. I know he hasn't been playing well. I mean, he had a great series against the Twins, but has not translated over, which is fair. I just want to see something better. That's all. That's where I'm at.
Honestly, though, man, like even if they do lose tomorrow, okay, let's say it happens.
Okay,
it's a series in mid to late May, and if you lose 3 in a row in mid to late May, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, the optics won't necessarily look great. Like I said, a lot of the national media members will be saying, "Oh, see, the White Sox, they're not for real. They can't handle playing with the Yankees." And sports talk radio here locally in Chicago will make it out to be a bigger deal than it really is. And some website that I hear people are on will, probably just see people all up in arms and hashtag mad online about it. But teams have 3-game losing streaks. It happens.
Yeah, it does. And that's fair, Steve. That's fair. I guess I like in my mindset, like I hate seeing sweeps of my team. And I know you do too. I'm not taking it away from you, but you look at it a lot more logically than I do, which is like when I feel like we're on the mic together, we have that. I love that, like just not difference in opinion, but that your perspective against my perspective. Like, it's just kind of like, I just hate to see it. Especially I get up for these kind of games even more than I would against, a Detroit or Kansas City or something like that. I get up for them. So I hate to see when we lose, but in the grand scheme of things, we know where we're at. We know where we're at, where we're hurt, and we've been performing well. And that's the main goal out of all of this. I'm really hoping they can put the bat on the ball tomorrow. Cause like you said, what you just pointed out about our opposing pitcher tomorrow, he does not have a lot of, didn't let a lot of ground balls up. We get in the air. So if we can get in the air and drive this motherfucker to right field, it's going to be a good day for the White Sox. It's just, can they do it? That's the problem. Can they do it?
Yeah, I mean, that's where I would definitely hope that guys like Timmy, Jose Abreu, and the Yerminator can kind of alter their approach, let the ball get a little bit deeper on them instead of trying to be as pull happy as I think they can get at times here. Let the ball get a little deeper. And all those guys have solid opposite field power, and they can do damage with the fastball on the outer third of the plate or the breaking ball, either way. And I think they just, kind of simplify things a little bit here. This is the type of guy that you can get right against here. They just got to go out there, have a solid plan of attack. And then ultimately, like I said, Dallas Keuchel's just got to go out there. He's got to command the strike zone from pitch number 1 there. He can't put himself in positions where he's behind in counts, allowing these Yankee hitters to sit on, whether it's the cutter or just fastballs on the inner third of the plate there, because they'll do some damage then.
Yeah, they're far too talented to, for him to get behind them, because they're going to capitalize off of it. And I think in the first couple games we've watched, obviously Carlos Rodon was fucking filthy, absolutely filthy. But you just can't afford that, because they're going to capitalize eventually, whether they get to the bullpen or not. That's what's going to happen. So going into tomorrow, pick the click, my man.
Pick the click. I am going to go ahead and I'm going to take Yohan Moncada. I think he's gonna snap out of it yesterday. I think Tyone's going to make a mistake on the inner third of the plate, and Yohan's going to put one in the third deck.
Okay, I'm going to go Yaz tomorrow. I have not taken Grandal in a long time. I'm going to take Yaz tomorrow. I think that he pulls one. Right-handed pitcher who lets his pitches get up in the air. I think Yaz drives one out. That's what my hope is, at least. So we'll see what happens. If you guys have picks to click, please, when we post the episode or even tweet at us right now, throw it down there. Let us know who you have going tomorrow. Who's going to be the pick to click offensively for the White Sox. You want to choose Dallas Keuchel? Go ahead and choose him too. But that's I chose Giolito the other day, bro. You obviously, I'm in the text and he played great. I try not to.
You nailed it.
Yeah, I try not to take the picture too much, but I just felt like it was going to work out. We have Sockside Mike taking Timmy tomorrow. That's good. I took him today. He did get a hit. He broke out of his slump, which was nice. I guess I win that one.
I'd love to see Timmy nuke that first pitch to right field there and get this team off on the board, or get off on the right foot and get on the board early here tomorrow. I think that would definitely be something that would help them kind of, they haven't played with the lead this entire series here, obviously. So right. Hopefully they can get out in front early here and kind of take it from there.
What's so funny, man, that you bring that up. I know we're kind of going over it a little bit, but my father-in-law, and my dad, they hate when Tim swings at the first pitch of the game. Absolutely hate it. I love it every time. I'm like, they're going to try to challenge him with a heater. He's going to fucking put it in play. 9 times out of 10, right?
The thing is, a lot is made about leadoff hitters and needing to kind of work at bats and give, the rest of the lineup an opportunity to see what pitchers are doing. But if you look historically, some of the really great leadoff hitters and the one that is probably the most prevalent is Ricky Henderson.
Yeah.
Ricky Henderson is a guy who is the major league's all-time leader in leadoff home runs to start a game. How many times did Ricky Henderson go up there thinking, okay, yeah, and because this was a guy that had a prolific eye and would work counts and would take his walks. Yeah. How many times would pitchers go out there, say, okay, first pitch, he's not swinging. They groove one right down the cock, and then he nukes the thing to the moon. And then all of a sudden now the A's are up 1-0. So right. I do like Timmy picking his spots with that. He doesn't do it all the time, but there definitely are instances where it's warranted, and he can absolutely nuke the ball to the moon.
Well, let's hope we see it tomorrow, man. Set the tone early. Get to the Yankees. Let's try to take a fucking win out of this
series.
Stir that drink. I did hear that. Where did I hear that? I heard that somewhere, and you've said it 20 million times. I assumed you made that up. I don't know if I'm right. But
I'm not clever enough. Look, that all comes back from Reggie Jackson when he was on the Yankees. I think it was in the 77 or 78 season, and he famously said that he was the straw that stirs the drink.
Okay, yeah, because I heard someone say that. I think it was Zoe that had. I was listening to Josh Nelson does some Twitter Spaces here and there, and I try to tune in every now and then, because I like those guys. They're very, they're good, smart guys. And he had Zoe on there, and Zoe had said something about Abreu. Everybody says that Timmy is the one that stirs the drink, but he went to Abreu, which is fair. That's totally fair, obviously opinion. But every time I think of Tim, I think of stir the drink, I think of you, and I'm like, yeah, like this team goes in my mind as Tim Anderson goes. If he's struggling, I feel like the team is gonna fucking struggle, because every once in a while when Pito gets up there, I feel like he presses a little bit and it doesn't work out to where we want it to work out to. But hopefully, God willing, they come out tomorrow, they hit the goddamn ball, they get a good outing from Dallas Keuchel, because that's exactly what they need. Get a win out of this series. Let New York talk all the shit they want with Mad Dog, whatever his name is. What's his name? Chris Russo. Yeah. Let him talk all of his shit with his stupid ass high pitched voice and say about how the Sox, disgrace the game and whatever they want to say. Just get one. Let them talk their shit, because we know, like you pointed out, it's mid-May. This team's got a lot up its sleeve. We're gonna be all right. Let's get some dubs here. Let's figure it out. I have nothing else. And go ahead and touch on anything you want to before we ride out here into the sunset, my man.
No, let's just find a way, whatever it takes tomorrow, to get one in this series. Because like you said, you don't want to get swept. If you do, is it the end of the world? No, but it's not the ideal option here. So find a way to get the sweep. End a road trip on a 4-2 note. I think anybody would take that, knowing that they were going into Minnesota and then into New York. So if you can come out of there 4-2, come back home for the Cardinals there, I think all will be okay in the world of the White Sox.
Absolutely. Everybody Be sure you're going on tapsportsnet.com for all your Chicago sports literature and podcasting needs. Following us on Twitter at Sox on Tap, at On Tap Sportsnet. Anywhere you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to us. 5-star rating and review because that's cool and tough. Some variation of us will be back tomorrow to recap the finale of the White Sox-Yankees series here at Yankee Stadium. Be sure to tune into that when it drops. God hopeful, a White Sox winner. White Sox forever.